99% of this business, yes, I said 99% is mindset, guys. If your mindset is messed up in any way, shape, or form, it's going to mess up your performance. Now, is anybody perfect on this call? Respectfully, no, because I don't see Jesus Christ on the call. So that being said, guys, none of us are perfect, right? We weren't meant to be perfect. We weren't designed to be perfect. But when we can understand where things are coming from or why we're saying certain things in the script or why we're responding back a certain way or asking certain questions, it's going to allow us to feel more confident in that sale and in that transition of helping the client essentially solve a problem. So guys, as we walk through this today, Rami and I are going to hit on really 6 things of psychology behind the sale. And we're not going to hit specifically on script training. So we're not going to role play. Please don't ask us to role play respectfully. And the reason for that is because this call today, guys, it's not a role play. It's an understanding of why we're saying what we're saying based off of the information that we already have, right? So that being said, Rami, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for asking. So, just to get started, we're gonna hit on, so again, 6 categories, and Rami's really gonna we're gonna kind of rock this out together, so to say. But the first one is gonna be leads. Now, guys, I need everybody, if you don't know like how a lead is created, I'm not mad at you, but I need you to know how it's created, right? And I need you to know that it wasn't by accident, right? So if you're on this call and you don't know how a lead's created, like I'm kind like raise your hand, drop like I don't know, unmute yourself. Okay, we're all good there. So guys, think about this, okay? How many times have you been on Instagram, you've been on Facebook, you went on Nike.com, whatever. You're on your favorite website, okay? And you click out of that website. It's going to kind of bring it back to you, right? Your next ad is going to be like Nike's having a sale next week, right? It's like, okay, Nike's having a sale right now, right? The ads continue to change. Guys, my point is with our ads that we're targeting, the person looks at the ad and they're filling it out. Now, at that time, think about this. You're on Nike.com and you know that you don't need sneakers, okay? Like you just got new ones yesterday. That's the only thing you get from Nike. Are you gonna go on Nike and like shop? I mean, like in my opinion, you probably shouldn't, right? Like it's not a need. Is that fair? Y'all with me? Like it's not a need. Now, if you look at it, something that says, when you die, did you know that your family's going to be left with $25,000 of final expense burden? Okay, and I click on that. Psychologically speaking, I have to have a concern, an interest, something that's saying, hey, let me get more information about this. Like, or I wouldn't click on it, right? Like, we all scroll by things every single day and we don't click on them. Guys, that person is intentionally clicking on this, clicking on the ad, clicking on the YouTube, whatever it might be. It's an ad on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You pick your favorite format, Google. But my point is behind it. Nobody just sends in a request for life insurance. They're worried about something. And now, whether your client's going to be willing to open up to you about that problem that we can solve with the insurance, it's going to be up to us, right? So, that being said, we're going to kind of break down, but guys, behind the lead, a person doesn't fill a lead out by accident. And you guys ever know when you're becoming a lead, right? Like something starts asking you a bunch of questions. It's like, what's your name? What state do you live in? What's your email? What's your phone number? What's the best time to call you? And in your brain, you're like, I'm about to become a lead, right? Like I was there last night, okay? And I was like, oh shoot, I don't think I'm ready to do this. So I'm not going to become a lead, right? So I didn't fill it out and I left it there. That being said, guys, these people are completing that request, right? So there is an interest, right? I don't go on Nike.com and check out with my, size 8 shoes by accident, right? Like I go on there and I get my shoes and I get off Nike.com. So they're sending the request and it's not by accident, guys. We're sitting there looking at beneficiaries' names, looking at date of birth, looking at what branch of the military, etc. So guys, you need to know when you're calling somebody, there was a need or there was a concern. It's our job to find that out, but also understanding psychologically, this goes back to I'm not bothering them, they're bothering me. Last week, I will say I was very pleased to find out a lot of folks didn't realize, hey, we have to triple dial our leads. But what else I will say is that's a prime example. they're not bothering, I'm not bothering them, they're bothering me. I needed to call them 9 times today to get in touch with them. Like, like, Rami, I'm getting back to you. Like, I don't care. Yeah, Rami answered on the ninth ring. He filled the request out. He needs help. Guys, it's everyone's job to get in front of somebody in every way, shape, or form. You walk in a store in the mall and I literally tell Rami, I'm like, I don't want to go in the store because they're going to ask me how they can help me and they're going to stalk me through the store. And I just want to look through the store, and if I like something, I'm going to buy it. Guys, my point being is everything, there's an interest, right? So remember that when you're calling your leads. That being said, Rami, do you have anything you want to add to kind of leads and like the how or the why?
Yeah, guys, it's the main thing about leads is you have to keep in mind that we are a service-based industry at the same time. Like we are in telesales, you're not going face to face. So Maurice's point in that, guys, just keep in mind that they're making a request. You're not cold calling. We're not telemarketing. So that means when you're reaching out to them, you want to have the tonality, the cadence, the mindset, like you are in a W-2 office, getting a request like you work for Geico. Someone puts a request for car insurance, and you're calling them. That same reaction they get from the rep when you guys get that phone call about your insurance, your bank, anything you guys do, you meet them with respect in a way. And you elicit that respect from the client when you're calling them. By doing so, by tricking your mind, again, by saying that they filled the form out, right? It's my job to get back to you. It doesn't matter how many times you fill it out. It doesn't matter what response you give me. I know we all know they filled it out. They didn't pull out from there. So at the end of the day, just tell yourself every single day that when you're calling them, have that mindset and that cadence tonality. And that way, when they do object you can walk right over it. Because if you guys don't believe in it, or if you guys are just calling a list and thinking, hey, I'm going to call and hope whoever answers, you guys are not going to go over the objection. So the biggest thing behind the lead is master your lead type, know the lead type you're calling, so you know how to combat it when you get those objections. Most importantly, just know they're family. At the end of the day, you guys have to understand that in order to push through and become a top producer, it's not about a veteran, a mortgage. It's not about an annuity. It's about relaying the thought that, hey, they're a family who needs help. They made a request because something happened in their life. Typically, most of the time, a catalyst pushed them forward. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Find that catalyst and provide the solution to it. That's all touching on leads, guys. And just make sure you're actually calling them, of course. But the psychology behind it is they're a family and looking for help at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And then, guys, the second thing we're going to hit on is the intro. So, like, when we're calling folks, the first thing we're hitting them with is our introduction. Who are we? And we're going to build credibility, right? So, biggest thing here is trust factor. This is when the trust factor comes into play. You think about when you've gotten a phone call, any phone call could sound like, the person's uncertain. You could sound like the person was like, really, like, oh my God, I feel like I know this person. When you answer the phone, try to bring yourself back to that, because all the person wants to know who are you and are you credible, right? Like those, like, can I trust you? Who are you? And can I trust you? Right? So we're going to do that through the introduction. So Rami, talk to us a little bit about the intro and building credibility right from the jump.
Yeah, so all of you guys pretty much understand how you guys grow credibility, but I'm going to tell you guys that I hope you guys are implementing it. Everyone should be sending your license, your driver's license, your insurance license, and our carrier sheet, the financial inventory, the very first part about it. Now, if you guys are saying that I don't feel comfortable saying my license, while they have it, they can look you up, guys, automatically and get that. It's public information. The second you took your state exam. So that's the first thing. I mean that. I can look up everybody right now and get your addresses. Second thing is, if I'm going to send somebody my ID, right, wouldn't that mean that I'm comfortable in who I am, that I'm not a scam artist, not a telemarketer, it's my actual ID. So that's how I build the credibility in the beginning. You guys have to really send your credentials and make sure they're looking at it. So I want everyone that if you're having trouble getting to social, building the value, you think they're yesing you to death, and you're going through the script, but they're yes, 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 okay, not really listening to you, challenge yourself to say in the very beginning, look me up before we continue. We're going to talk about death and finances. It's going to get a little uncomfortable. I want to make sure that any application that we do submit for you today, we can have no problem doing so. So go on Google for me, type in mass insurance license lookup. Any state you guys work in, just put the state's insurance license lookup. It's going to automatically redirect you to their website, the DOI. Now, CertCon is for Texas, Florida, Georgia, a couple other ones. Now, that one you have to do it as well for NIPR. But long story short, when they look at that and they see the credentials, at that point in time, they're not going to object you when it comes down to information, because our job is to collect information, find that problem, and present a solution. If they're not open with me and they're not going to tell me who they are, their story, their medications, their social, etc. How can I expect to protect that family? Now, when you do send your credentials, I promise you that they're going to actually look at them and tell them, look at it. So that's how you guys are going to build credibility and security through the sale, because a lot of you have no problem going through the script. But I guarantee a lot of you get pushback at a certain point when it comes down to sensitive information. You guys say any medications, you move on. What's your income? You get take the number, you move on. You guys don't dive deep. I'm not saying, I'm just speaking general. So keep in mind to dive a little bit deeper in the beginning, just like we do through income and medications. Do the same thing when you're identifying who I am. So I'm the underwriter assigned to you, just like in the script for the phone call. Same as the presentation. I'm the underwriter who's giving you a call. Grab that pen and paper, take my NPN, take my credentials down, and then send them. And make sure they go on the website to look at them. Because I promise you guys, you're going to lose so many sales from people who are saying, yeah, I got it. They're never looking at it. Think if someone texts me right now on this call, I could say, sure, I got it, but then I may not look at it. There are busy guys. Not everyone's sitting at home with a pen and paper in their hand, ready to take that information. You have to decipher that. And how do you do that? By, again, sending your credentials. And now, not only guys sending your credentials, but we always talk about being proactive versus reactive. That's one way of being proactive for social, etc. But then we're going to get into it, introducing us to the role and purpose. Now, Marisa does a really good job at her role and purpose. I copied it verbatim. I have it via voice message. I listened to it for a month straight. I memorized it. I want all of you to memorize the role and purpose. Because if you guys can memorize the role and purpose to a way that I can read off the top of my tongue in 10 different cadences, I can say in Arabic and English, it doesn't matter. You guys are going to be able, well, the client is going to listen to you. He's not reading like a script. You don't sound robotic. Now it's a conversation, right? Now it's more fluid because I sound normal. Now, in the beginning, as you're reading it through a script, we want you to do that so you hit the points of going through health, going through income, collecting, their budget, making sure that we're submitting an application, letting them understand that we do the shopping for them, right? We're the underwriter. I broker out with 45 different A-rated companies. It's my job to find the most affordable rate. Now, you guys want to make sure that you're using that verbatim because there are words in there that we use, like just, we, they. The reason we say those words is that you don't want to feel all the pressure on you with the client. When I'm talking to a client and I'm going through my presentation and I say they just want to know, it's no longer me, it's the insurance carrier. And at the end of the day, guys, we're just the middleman from the insurance company and to the application, the client. So make sure you guys are doing that role and purpose because you're going to set the table. And when you guys can set the table beforehand, it's going to be much easier getting the information, making the sale. Because if you don't tell somebody, it's going to, it's my job today to do the shopping for you. It's your job today to help me help you. With that being said, we all have a budget. You do Jaden, you do Leo, so do I. Let's make sure any application we put in place today meets your needs, but your budget most importantly. If you don't hammer that down, they're not going to listen to you. They're just going to say he's a sales guy, he wants to sell insurance, and that's it. When you're focusing on their actual needs and being proactive, it's going to help a lot, guys. So that's what we really want to focus on with the credibility is making sure at least in that script, you're not jumping that role on purpose. Because if you are, you guys are losing a lot of sales on the table.
Yep. And just to piggyback off what Rami just said, guys, I can't tell you how many people that in the beginning of the telesale world for me, I didn't send like my credentials on the front, or I didn't have them look at the credentials on the front end. It's one thing to send them. It's another thing to be like, hey, Rami, and now you got that in your text message? No, I didn't. Okay, let's give it a second. And then I'll usually send my first name just to kind of push the message through, and then I'll send my last name. Because when they can actually see it, now they're more open to the conversation, right? They're like, okay, we got the credentials. We feel good from the beginning. So they're not second guessing themselves as we walk into setting the table, to Rami's point. So that's going to be the third thing is setting the table, your role and purpose. Who are you, right? Guys, if I put somebody on a bus and I don't tell them where the bus is going, I'm kidnapping them. Is that fair, right? We don't want to kidnap our clients. So if we get our clients on the phone, we send them our credentials, and we don't tell them what's going to happen today, they're like on guard. They're like ready to object. They're like ready. They're at home practicing their objections, guys. Okay. But if you explain to them, hey, someone's going to get on the bus and you're like, hey, this is where we're going. We're going to go here and we're going to go here. We're going to go here for a little bit. And then by the end, you're going to end up back home. They're like, cool, that's what I was going for. And they get onto the bus, right? They're not worried. Okay. That's what we need to make sure our clients are able to do is get on the bus with us, okay? This is a hypothetical bus, just so y'all are with me, okay? But that's through the role and purpose. Guys, that role and purpose, if somebody had to pick one part, you could only say one part of the script ever, it would be the role and purpose. Everything else, like you could freestyle it if you wanted to, but the role and purpose is setting the table of who are you? What are we going to talk about today? And what are the expectations for me? And what are the expectations for you, the potential client? And this is the end goal, aka taking an application today that is going to get us to the next step. So, as it pertains to setting the table, guys, it's so important and it's sometimes overlooked, especially because we can get on the phone with people and they're like, yeah, they just want quick, 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 quick. But then when it comes down to getting their social and their bank, it's not quick, 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 quick anymore, right? So, guys, I want you to remember the social and the bank for us as agents is making sure they look at our credibility, right? Our licenses, they see that on the front end. And the second thing is setting the table. That's our social and our bank. If we don't give those two things to the client, we should not expect to be taking any type of application or helping that family that day. And that's how I see it. And guys, how many times have I messed up my role and purpose over the years? Millions, okay? But how many times have I went back and redeciphered it? Millions. So it's like we're on the phone now, guys. Like we used to have to go in the home, to Rami's point, and just like rip it. You should be able to just rip the script. After like at least a week, you should be able to like at least pretty much say the thing fluently aloud. And that's just because you've said it so many times, right? So when you can say something like that, like someone asks, what's your date of birth? You're not like, you're like, here's my date of birth, right? And when you can say it with that confidence behind it, the person just trusts you more. That's all we're trying to do is build trust so that they can help us understand what their problem is. But if we don't set the table 99 out of 100 times, they're not going to allow us to solve that problem.
And guys, the best way, I'm sorry to cut you off,
I was
Marisa.
going to ask you to hit
And
on.
a good analogy or example, guys, how I think of it is, and this might be a little extreme, but think of like you all about to enter a surgery, and I mean it. You're gonna enter a surgery. The doctor did not explain to you the treatment program, what the surgery is going to do, what the potential ramifications or consequences can be, what kind of symptoms or risk factors can arise from the surgery. You're gonna go in blind and do the surgery. You're not. The surgery, guys, is us going through the inventory, doing the application. The outcome of the surgery is the family getting the help. So you have to basically just actually break down the process from start to finish. Because think of it that same way. You wouldn't do anything that you guys are not familiar with. You guys are not going to do anything that's not properly explained to you. The same thing goes for a client, guys. We're all humans at the end of the day. So if you're not explaining it to me properly, I'm not going to go along with it. So just make sure that, again, like to Teresa's point, if you're not hitting it to the nail, at least explain what the heck you guys are going to do. I mean it. And I'm encouraging all of you to read it verbatim. But if not, at least say, I'm a veteran insurance underwriter. I sell life insurance. It's my job to find the cheapest life insurance possible. I'm going to ask you about your medications and health. We're going to talk about your income and things you have in place. I'm going to make sure whatever I do show you today is going to be suiting your needs and budget. Just keep that in mind, that without the clarity, it's really hard to see down the end of the tunnel. And a lot of us in the beginning, when we're not selling, we tend to blame the client, and we kind of think that we did everything in our power. It's not true. If you guys can make it comfortable, affordable, make it clear, just concise, it's going to make sense to the client, guys. So just make sure that to explain from start to finish, and you guys will see your volume and sales uptick more. That's what psychology behind that role and purpose, guys, is so they know who are we and what are we doing. Just like we're calling on the phone to book the appointment or going to the one call close. We have all the same word tracks. Just use the same mentality when you're booking the appointment and trying to get them to grab that pen and paper to when you're explaining it and going through the presentation and telling them what we're going to be doing.
Yep. 100%. So guys, don't let anybody rush you through that process. And the person who's not going to let you finish your role and purpose isn't your client. Flat like that. So it's just next. Okay, like
And
get
you
off
guys
the
are going
phone.
to start getting people who are going to stop you and say, wait, we're doing an application. That's a good thing. So if you're getting
Yep.
cut off in role and purpose, that means you're doing the right thing. You're saying it the right way. They feel all that pressure. They think they have to do it, which is what they want, right? We want them to feel like, yes, you have to do it. That's why I'm on the phone with you guys. We're not going to sit there and talk numbers. So if you guys are getting that, that's a good thing. But if you're getting cut off and it's saying, no, what is this? Just go back and revisit it, start and finish.
100%. And now, guys, we sometimes hit well on that role in purpose. And guys, we're all always refining our sales process. I believe that the best salesperson in the world can get better at sales, right? That's just what sales is, and that's the best and the worst part about it. The fourth thing we're going to hit on is quality questions and using the inventory. So, guys, every single call you're on, you should have a brand new inventory, like a brand new one. It doesn't matter, like Jackson hung up on you in the middle of the call. Don't reuse Jackson's inventory. Like, just get a new one. Like that every single call inventory. But quality questions, this is huge. And this is going to go back to those power questions of who, what, when, where, why, how. Sometimes these can be uncomfortable, guys. They're supposed to be. Because if we don't understand the client's true need, it doesn't matter like what we are going to show them because they're not opening up to us. They're not giving us what they need. So, Rami, do you want to even like go over some of the questions that you're sure to ask in every appointment?
Yeah. So just like in the script where it says, guys, if you were to die yesterday, what's that look like for your family today? You definitely want to say that and then go deeper. So they say, okay, like I'm not sure. Okay, well, if you died yesterday, who's going to cover your bills? How are they going to replace your income? You work 40 hours a week, you make $6,000. Your wife's a homemaker, she makes social at 1,800. You're the major income earner. If you go, most of the income will die with you. How is she going to replace it? Well, I have my savings, I have this. Okay, do you understand what probate is? Do you guys know that has the potential to be frozen? You guys want to go deeper in asking the proper questions so you're able, not about probate and stuff, but it's deep in getting the qualifying questions where they understand that, okay, life insurance is the most immediate form of payment upon death. Now, if I don't know what that looks like tomorrow when I die, how can I actually be prepared to buy something that's going to stop that problem from happening? Now, in the beginning, when you ask, what's it look like? Who is that person? What are they going to do? And you hear them start talking, the conversation changes. Now they start actually explaining the why and their need. And that's the surface why. Who are you looking to protect? That's just the surface why. To dig deeper and get the actual need and the actual why. And now the good thing is, if you guys are talking to husband and wife, don't be afraid to tell Mary. I do it all the time in the field, like in front of someone's like husband, guys. I'm being serious. Bob, you died yesterday. You can't talk anymore. Mary, if he died yesterday, what are you doing today? And I'm quiet. I want Mary to tell me. If Bob starts talking, Bob, you died yesterday. I'm sorry. Stop talking. I need to know her actual answer. And guys, you actually do that. You may think that's rude. It's not. Think of all your parents. One person probably controls most of the things in the house. And my house is my dad. My mom, literally, if he died today, she'd be in a world of hurt. So I know that when I ask that question to them, they probably going to break it down to me. Same thing goes, guys, for the clients. Ask the wife, what's it look like? Let her tell you how she's going to struggle. Let her tell you how she's going to have her income go lost. Let her tell her husband at the same time why I need this program. Now, if you don't ask the wife that question, you only talk to Bob and you just let the wife be in the background, it's going to be hard to build the value. But you directly ask a spouse in front of each other, what's that look like? And this guy can't talk and she starts yapping and starts explaining herself. You're going to start seeing the holes in the ship, per se. Or you're going to see the need that they need to be solved. And you ask the same question vice versa. So every client you guys have, and I mean this, you're going to ask, hey, Bob, if you did die yesterday, Mary, what are you doing today? Let them answer. Okay, Mary, if you died yesterday, Bob, what are you doing today? Always ask both times, guys. And it might be uncomfortable in the beginning. Over time, you will get used to it. And then you're going to be building the value. Now you're going to start getting the answers of, okay, well, I have life insurance. Okay. And most veterans fill the form up for three main reasons. Continuing the script. At this point, you're building the value. They're going to tell you, I have insurance, but I know I need some. Okay, you want to add more insurance. She avoids that burden we just talked about. Exactly. Sometimes they tell you, I don't know what's going to happen. Should be in a lot of trouble. That's why I'm talking to you. And all you guys have to say is, well, what if you were not talking to me today? Imagine you never got that form on Facebook. You never filled the form out online. You never got that letter in the mail. What does your day actually look like? And let them tell you, okay? And don't have it be a 5-minute conversation. Dig deep into it. Because when that happens and you're able to explain to them, work insurance good while you're working. Term life expires. No whole life. Wife makes no money. Husband makes all the money. Do you think it's easy at that point, guys, for me to leverage the sale? I'm being serious. Of course it is. At that point in time, who's going to tell me no? Would any husband look at me or tell me on the phone, it's okay, my wife doesn't need it? What's happening to a lot of you guys, you're reading the question on the script. Is it a fair statement that you're not going to burden your wife if you died? And they're like, no, it's not going to burden. Okay, and you guys move on. How does it make any sense? I'm being so serious. Why the hell would you move on with that question? Reread it again. No, what I'm saying is, if you died today, I'm not saying you don't have money. Is it a fair statement that she can take that 10,000 or 20,000, use it to her bills? Yes, that's true. Okay. So why don't you want to put an insurance policy in place so she avoids that financial hardship, keeps her money in her pocket, lets the insurance company pay her bills for her? If you guys don't go that deep and start asking those kind of questions and bringing out the real emotion, it's going to be very hard for you guys to become top producers selling 30, 40, 50K consistently. So what I'm going to continue to tell you guys is when you get to that question, okay, so you like most veterans, you don't want to be your burden, actually ask it. Say, do you think you're going to be a burden when you die? If you were to die yesterday on that part, I assume, like most families, you don't want your wife having to go through a financial hardship. You don't want her having to take money out of your savings to cover your burial. Phrase it that way instead, because that way you're making it more clear. Because if I hear a lot on the Zoom that question, and the guy just says, or the girl says, no, it's not going to burden, then why'd you make the request that? And then you ask that question, it becomes more combative, more like an argument. Instead, switch it. Don't be combative. Just ask it properly. And again, in the script, when you guys are building the value and using the who, the what, the where, the when, who's going to cover the final expenses? What's it look like? When is that day going to come? It's not promised. That question is not going to be answered anymore of, well, she's not going to be burdened. They're going to answer it, yes, she would be. Yeah, you know what? It would be tough for her. She could find the money. She could take it from my savings or my 401, but it would be tough. And that's the whole thing. You want to paint the picture that if that 401k is not available, if all these assets you think that are in place actually are not ready for it to be passed on to the estate, these are real life things, guys. How are they able to, sustain the family? And you don't want ever, guys, I don't want my mom ever have my dad pass away and she can't pay up to a year of bills. I want her that peace of mind knowing that she can mourn her family for a full year and have peace of mind. So have that same translation. Doesn't mean your clients need to have a year. Just means they should have peace of mind. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. A month can go a long way. And I know a lot of us have experienced death in our lives. And I'm sure if I tell all of you guys unmute today, tell me the last person that died in your life, how long did it take for your family to properly grieve? It's been more than a month. So just keep that in your guys' mind when it comes down to asking the who, the what, the where. Don't be afraid either. Like take my directness and do it. Like be direct. Like do not be shy to say it. If you think you're going to burn the lead, you're not. They're either going to agree with you or they were never going to buy to begin with. We have to get to the ones who want to buy, especially working age leads at the same time, right? If you're working an age lead, keep that in mind. It's not more fresh. They've been talked to. 4 months went by, 2 months went by. It's our job to bring them back where they were on the computer, filling it out, thinking about their grandma that passed away 2 years ago and how their aunt and their brother and sister had to take all the money, do a GoFundMe, scrap their savings, etc. Hope that makes sense. I hope didn't go down a rabbit hole.
No, it did. It's like paint the picture, guys. Like paint the picture. And the thing is really where I think Rami's going with that too is through these questions, guys, people are going to go one of two ways. If they hang up on you, like Rami, they weren't buying from anybody because they don't actually think they need the insurance, right? Are they uncomfortable questions? Sure. But are they questions that we have to ask? We're talking about when someone dies, guys. Like I love y'all, but like that's what we're talking about. When someone dies, what's going to happen? Is it a comfortable conversation? No. But guys, I signed up for it. We all signed up for it. That's how we can get better at it and make sure we're actually solving the problem. And the solution is the insurance. But when they're able to answer those questions, to Rami's point, now at the end, they can't combat him and say, oh, well, we have to think about it. It's like, whoa, you just told me why you needed the insurance. That's why those questions are so powerful because you go from being the salesperson to being the problem solver. Because you're like, okay, I see this problem is A, B, and C. Okay, we're going to fit it in with boom, put this product. That product is the solution. To that point, the fifth thing is education. Guys, people like to be educated, especially the ones that act like they don't. Those typically are the people who want to be educated that are like, oh, I just want prices. Okay. Either they really don't want the insurance or they actually just want to be educated. So when we're talking about life insurance, guys, two things I want to hit on. I'm going to hit on work insurance and then Rami's going to hit on kind of deciphering between the VA and the private sector, or so to say. And there is a really easy way to do that, guys. So work insurance. I want us all to think back to our first job, okay? And wherever you were, okay, you're at your first job. You had in your first full-time job, let me be clear. You had benefits, okay? You had some type of maybe health benefit, some type of life benefit. You might have not have known about it. You might have known about it. You were contributing to something like 401k. You had something in place. Now, when you leave the job, okay, guys, health, let's just talk about health insurance real quick. When you have group health insurance and now you leave the job, and so I leave my job, Marisa leaves corporate America, and now John comes in and takes my spot because somebody has to come in and take my spot, right? The company I work for isn't like, oh, we're going to hold Marisa's health insurance here for her and her life insurance package. Guys, how many people's life insurance would they be holding by the end of time? A lot. A lot of people. Nobody, no company is responsible for that. So it is so important to know when somebody tells you, I have insurance through work. You have insurance through work, Leo. That's great. It's great to have that benefit on the job because it's typically inexpensive. But I would imagine that's why we're on the phone because you understand that if you were to get downsized, laid off, quit, become disabled, or most importantly, when you do hit your age of retirement, you lose most, if not all of that benefit. So most folks understand why it's important to put something that's permanent and private in place. Does that make sense? Because I want to make sure that it's like, I'm not, when someone doesn't answer me back, guys, on the phone, I'm not just going to keep going. It's like, Leo, does that make sense? Right? Like I'm gonna keep asking until he tells me yes or he tells me no. And he helps me understand it back to me, right? So I'm like, Leo, you're with me. You don't take your work insurance with you. So if Lord willing, you went into work tomorrow and they said, we're eliminating your position, they eliminate your benefits too. You're with me there? Yeah. And guys, I would say it's about a 50-50 coin toss of people who want to believe that like, oh, I bring my life insurance with me. Now, are there particular scenarios where you can carry it? Yes. However, it's important to know that's typically through a federal or state job. And if they're not paying for the policy, it's usually a $10,000 or a $20,000 maximum benefit. Now, if you leave the job at, let's just say, the age of 65, but you started there at 27 years old, and you want to carry your $1 million of insurance that you have at that job, they're rating you at a 65-year-old individual rate because you're leaving the group, guys. So it's group insurance. Group insurance versus private insurance. Every household needs to have private insurance, especially with today's economy. We do not know what's going to happen with anybody's job, right? So helping folks understand the coverage that they have at work, they do not own or control themselves, their employer does. So I hope that that makes sense. And Rami's going to hit on essentially deciphering through the VA and the private sector.
And guys, write this down. I want to touch on two things about FEGLI, only because I think Bree's on the phone with Now. We had a lot of talk about this recently. So the FEGLI at 75, at age 65 or retirement, gets reduced by 75%. It's a state law, no matter what happens. So it's 75% reduction, automatic at 65 or the age of retirement, whichever comes first. Now they have a 50% reduction option. It's called option B. So they can retain 50% of the face value when they first had it, but they have to continue paying into the policy. Now, this second type, option C, they never have that one because this one we're just talking about, you can make it portable, but you pay a very expensive premium. I'm talking about a lot because it's typically 1 or 2 times their salary. So say the $100,000 work policy, when they retire, it drops down to 7 to 25,000 right away. And on the policy, it says it, guys. So write that down. 75% reduction for FEGLI, Federal Employee Group Life Insurance, at 65 for retirement. Option B is 50% cutoff, like they reduce it 50%. You continue making payments. Or the third option is all of it goes over, but at that point, it's a full medical exam and very, very expensive. So anytime someone tells you, I work at the post office, I work at this, go on OPM website, guys. Go on Google and type in FGLI reduction. You're going to see it. It's like these are actual group policies are mandated by the state, like they're federally regulated. That's why it's called Federal Employee Group Life Insurance. So keep that in mind because 5% of people actually have it. You know, as I know that in the hospital, they used to always talk about it and you never keep it. It's really hard to. The second thing with work insurance, guys, let's say I break my arm and I can't come back to work for 6 months, right? Now you can explain to the client that for short-term disability and long-term and with the insurance, let's say they pay them their money for 3 months or 5 months. Now they send a nurse to the house, guys. So they actually do a physical assessment by a paramedic or a nurse at your house. Now, Leo, if they tell you, bro, you can work at a toll booth. Let's say you work anywhere in the world, but they're telling you you work at a toll booth. Right now, your medical evaluation says you can actually sit at a toll booth and work. They're going to stop your benefits. Your employer is no longer going to pay you that short-term or long-term disability. Now they're shit out of luck. So you guys should use that as a leverage point. Explain that to them. Do you guys understand how your work insurance works? Do you know if your work employer deems you medically fit to work at a toll booth, you lose your insurance? Do you know at age 65, it gets reduced? Confused buyers don't buy, guys. Now, when they're not confused, it's going to help a lot. Now, with veterans, the target audience that we're focusing on, you guys know there are three main types of insurance they carry outside the disabled one. There's SGLI, service group life insurance. That's only when you're in the service, you're actively serving, service group. You can carry it over with you, but you have to apply for that. I think it's 240 days after discharge or before you were after discharge. If they don't convert it, it doesn't follow. The second type is going to be called VGLI. That's Veteran Group Life Insurance. It's a 5-year step term. It's a term life insurance program. Every 5 years, the price will increase until the age of 80. Now, we know why that's not feasible. It becomes unaffordable for most families. They pay it in the 50s, 60s, maybe in the late 60s, early 70s. But the second it gets to their actual prevalence, which means like their longevity of life, their actual mortality rate, that table or the price is going to skyrocket. It becomes super unaffordable. So what that family is doing, they're paying money into this policy that's increasing in price, and at one point it will become unaffordable and could expire. Why would you think that's protection for your family? It's not. So it's going to increase in price and expire on me. So if I have good genes and I'm in good health and I do right by my life and I live to 95, 100, I'm penalized for that. But they think it's protection. Explain that to them. Say, guys, it's not life insurance because life insurance is if it is when it pays, not if it pays, right? Keep that in mind, guys, as well. Now, there's another type now, VGLI, step term. SGLI is just a 2-year waiting period, and VA Life. VA Life is sponsored through Prudential and through New York Life. You can go on the website, it's all written. Now, again, it's a 2-year waiting period. Sometimes there's no medical exam. It depends on your rating. You have to have a rating to get it. And there are requirements, but long story short, they're more expensive than AIG, truly. And so you can literally just take the rates and compare them. You can beat it 10 out of 10, or like 8 out of 10 times, assuming they didn't get it, 5 or 7 years ago. So when you guys hear them say, I want to go talk to the VA directly, I want to work with the VA, I have life insurance with the VA, educate them. Slow yourself down a bit and say, no worries, I'm happy you have life insurance. Do you have access to your policy? They don't. It's group policy, unless it's VA Life. If it's SG or VG, they don't have a policy. It's a group program. You explain that to them. Say you're participating in a group, veterans. Therefore, that you don't own it, the VA does. They can change rates anytime. That's why it's increasing. And there's a waiting period on the whole life side where the rate doesn't increase, but you got that 2-year waiting. So when you can explain that to them and they still fight you, send the website. It's, hey, go on va.gov.com for a minute or va.gov, click on life insurance, all options, and read me what's in front of you. All I did, guys, I go on the website, I memorize it. That's it. That's all I did. And if you guys go on there and start looking at it, you realize that, okay, so they have a 2-year waiting period, they have another 2-year waiting period, and they have a step term. So we can beat that 10 out of 10 times, guys, as long as the budget's affordable and the client is willing to let us with the inventory. So don't let them tell you that I have life insurance at the VA, be the excuse. Let that be your lever. Let that be a pressure point where you're explaining to them, okay, you're paying 20K, how much? Do a quick run with a Eagle quote. You can compare it and say, okay, just off a quick glance, I can see you're about to be paying $50 more expensive. We'll get down to it. And you just keep on going and educate them. Because when you can explain that to them, no, thank you. I've had a couple of veterans myself tell me, I didn't know this would happen, XYZ. With the new agent she's on the call, Paige, she had a guy that had a step term to USAA. They didn't tell him, and he's a veteran. And USAA is the bank and Navy Federal they go to all the time. He called her back thanking her, saying, hey, I called them, I cussed them out because they never told me my rates increasing. They never did. And now her first policy was a 4K AP just because she took the time to educate the client. She said, hey, this is a set term, it's going to increase over time, etc. So I want you guys to educate your client when it comes to insurance. Don't just ask them, what's the policy? What's the insurance carrier? What's the face amount? But explain to them, difference between term and whole life, right? That's why it's in the script sometimes. And then, of course, you want to explain to them what the VA offers. I'm talking specifically for VA life insurance, right? Veteran leads. And if you're talking to a regular general life lead, it's a little different. Maybe at that point in time, you want to get the carrier because maybe they dealt with a broker like us. But if it's a veteran, most of the time their insurance is sponsored through a VA type program. And you just want them to really know what they have because 9 out of 10 times when they retire, they get like a piece of paper, they sign it, and that's it. Just like with pensions. A lot of families think pensions will transfer over. No, they do not. Option A is a max payout. What that means is the pension will never transfer. They take option C or option B, which is a reduction in benefit, but they will never tell you that. And your employer will never tell you that. You ask them, say, did your employer ever offer you 3 options? No, I'm getting to that point, but not yet. Okay. And let's say they did. Well, when you picked it, did you just say, give my pension? Did they sign you up? Yeah. Did they ever explain to you what's called survivorship benefits? No. What's that? Okay, that means that your pension is going to die with you because you took the max amount of income. Now, most families, they know when the pension is going to transfer because they'll tell you, oh, I'm taking a lower amount, my social is lower, my wife's going to get 40 or 60%. My point in telling you this, guys, is not to give you too much information like a fire hose, but to tell you guys that they always think they know what they have. They think they're in the best situation. They just don't have the right information. And it's us to give the right information. And at that point in time, it's an open ball game. Now, again, there are situations where we can't beat the situation, we can't beat the rate, but most of the time we can. Just keep in mind that you guys want to always ask those questions and don't stray when they have life insurance. It's a good thing because as you guys hear us all say all the time, the average consumer buys insurance about 5 times in their life. The average consumer buys it either 9 times in their life. And we see it with the Colonial Penn, even us, 5K America, 5K Move, 5K AmAm. People are serial life insurance buyers. They buy insurance all the time. So it's a good thing when they have life insurance. It means they believe in it. And then when they object you on the social, say, why'd you give that broker the social, not me? So it's an easy way to fight that objection.
No doubt. So, guys, educating your clients is huge. And sometimes in the beginning, you might feel like, I don't know what to say. That's why we're unmuted on Zoom. That's why we're going into a breakout room and being like, hey, have them pull up this website. I can't tell you how many times I have literally had the veteran pull up the website. Not because I'm trying to hurt them, but because I need to show them, physically show them, hey, love you, but this is what you have access to at the VA. Like, do you want to go that road? Because we can get off the phone right now, respectfully, or we can put you in a better situation because it seems like you want something that's just going to be permanent. It's going to be there forever for your family. Is that right, John? And John's like, yeah. And then John's rocking with you because you took the time to slow down and educate him versus just being like, well, John, you know that benefit sucks. It's like, no, let's applaud John that he put something in place and then let's help him understand it. Same thing with work insurance. Applaud they put it in place because it is good that they have something there, but then let's help them understand what they have, right? So our job is to educate. When we educate people, 99% of the time, they're going to buy from us because they like us, they trust us, and we actually took the time. Guys, I can only imagine how many people, and this is like kudos to Paige, spoke to that client before Paige did. She wasn't the first person. She's working age leads. But she found a way to say, hey, hold on, sir. Let me educate you on what you have, right? And that's a beautiful thing. So guys, people really appreciate that. And it goes a long, far way above just that one sale and helping that one family, okay? The guy actually said he talked to 10 people, so I'm not shocked.
He
But
really
one
did, yeah.
person
I was on the
cared.
call. Yes.
But
He's like,
one person cared to slow it down, right? And be like, hey, let me break it down, right? And that was Paige. And it was Paige's second sale. And it's like, it was probably uncomfortable, right? But she got through it and she was able to put the guy in a better situation. And now she's understanding more every day how to actually educate versus just, these are the numbers, which one do you want, right? So great job there. And the last thing we're going to hit on is sealing the deal. So the close and the pitch. I'm going to keep my segment really simple here, and I'm going to let Rami kind of rip on this one. Guys, in terms of when you're closing, you should be confident enough about the options that you showed the person based off of the conversation that you had and or that your mentor had there with you to be like, these are the 3 options. Out of these ones, which one suits your needs and budget best? Like, have a closing question, and you cannot window the question based off who you're talking to. In the field, I had this rule for myself, and I've now applied it to telesales. It was in the field, it was no matter who you sit in front of, because in the field, I would get to people's house, I'd be like in the doorway, and they'd be like, just so you know, I'm not buying anything today. And I'd be like, That's completely okay. That's totally fine, Rami. Like, kitchen tables that way. And he's like, yeah. All right. So right there, I have a decision because he told me he's not buying today, right? When I was at the door, okay? Him and his wife had a conversation before I got there, and they were like, we're not going to buy the insurance today. We're going to think about it. But like, okay, like that actually happens. But time out. When they feel like they're in the right place, that stops happening. So really where I'm going with this is there were times I would wonder and I would be like, oh, maybe I should do the role and I shouldn't say we're going to take the application today because he just told me he doesn't want to do business today. No, that is the wrong thing to do. So what I challenged myself to do in 2019 was no matter who I was sitting in front of, the role and purpose stays the same exact way. Like to the point that I can't even say it differently if I want to. Like I can't make up my date of birth. That's how I feel about the role and purpose. That's why I'm there. That's why we're on the phone. That's why we're here, right? That's why we're here. We're not here to have a conversation with somebody for 35 minutes and be like, here's some quotes. They can go online and get quotes respectfully. Like Nicole be telling people all the time, she's not the quote girl. And I respect the heck out of that because she's not. Here's what I am here to help you with, though. Boom, role and purpose. Guys, you get through that role and purpose and you say it word through word. And at the end, they're confused as to why you want them to pick an option. Like they weren't going to buy and we might have got too far somehow, some way. Because at that point, my point is if you can get them on board with you, ask the closing question, like which one? They're like, it's awkward. It might feel like they're like sitting there for like 20 minutes. We're like, which, like, wow, whatever your closing question is, ask it and just stop talking. Stop talking. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give because, guys, there were times I would ask the closing question. I'd be like, but don't worry because we could also look at if they like it's like, dude, you just showed them the best three options for them. Like, why are we talking about what we can also look at? Right? If you think that these are the best options, show them, let them choose one. If they want something, lower, they want something higher, they're going to express that to you. They're going to talk to you about it. Then you talk with them, then you chat. But until then, it's like the psychology behind that is we did our role and purpose to our point of I'm not kidnapping people onto the bus, right? They know where they're going. We went through everything. We asked the hard questions. We got the why out. There's a lot happening in their brain as to, okay, I need this, right? They're telling us they need it. And at that point, we're just like, so which one is it? Which one are we going to see if we can get you qualified for? B. All right. It's like, move, move. And guys, that's the best thing that you can do at that point. And then make sure at the end, when you do wrap up with that client, with that application, you're helping the client understand. Now, Leo, you might get calls from other folks just saying that they have to review the policy. They're my manager. Nobody else outside of myself is going to call you about this policy. So should anybody give you a call, Leo, just give them my phone number and tell them to reach out to me with any questions that they may have. Because like I mentioned, Leo, you're stuck with me for life, okay? And I'm sealing the deal. I'm making sure that Leo understands there's other people that are going to call him about life insurance and kind of try to trick him a little bit. And he's not going to fall for it. Give them my number. And usually they love that. They're like, oh, I can give them I'm like, yeah, give them my number. They ain't going to call me. And if they do, like, that's great for me. I don't mind, right? Let them call me. So that being said, guys, ask the closing question, zip your lips respectfully. I have to do it too. Sometimes it feels like it was 20 minutes and let them choose an option. Once they do, help that family get through your application and seal the deal by helping them understand that you are their contact person. You're the only person that's going to be reaching out to them. So Rami, what do you got on that?
Yeah, so definitely the one that talks first always loses. You guys see me all the time. I'll mute out. I'll just be quiet. They're sitting there with the numbers in front of them. I don't say a single word because I want them to tell me what they're thinking and what's their thought process on it. Most importantly, regarding this pitch, you guys want to make sure that you're actually explaining the policy before giving a cost. Never jump the gun on yourself. Never just say, hey, 20K, 15K, 10K is this much. It's like trying to go buy a car. You don't know what kind of car it is, what it does, the make, the color, the vehicle. You're not going to do it. You're just like, why would I pay that for that kind of car? I don't know what it is. Same aspect goes behind, life insurance. So if they don't understand the policy benefits, they don't understand what they can actually do with it. And not only the benefits of cash value, living benefit, but paint the picture where you're going to say, okay, well, what do you guys have in place today where if you became sick, God forbid, with a heart attack, stroke, or stage 2 cancer, and you pay $200 to a bank, they're going to guarantee you $100,000 tomorrow if you get sick. They don't. Okay, so if you guys got sick today, what were you going to do? What could you guys do with that money? And they start telling you what they can do. And you want to explain it where, okay, most families can use this benefit to replace your income. You can use it to, do a business venture, buy a secondary mortgage, etc. Use what the policy can do for them. It's not what it is, but what it does. That's why I said a lot of equity rescue for mortgage. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just selling a concept there. I'm explaining to them what that little $10,000 whole life policy will do for them. It's going to provide this peace of mind in these times of monthly mortgage payments covered. So when it goes back to the pitch, you always want to make sure you're explaining what it does before you're actually going into the pitch. And again, not the benefits, but what it can actually provide for the family. Now, on top of that, what you guys want to do is for your closing sentence, if you guys ever freeze up, I hope all of you have a financial inventory that we have that we'll tell you guys to use. On the very bottom of it, I have put this there for a reason. It's a very easy sentence. All it says is what most people do is they want to put something in place today. If you died or became disabled yesterday, money would come to the family today to take care of your final expenses. We can't decide right now, but if you were to qualify, which option is most comfortable for you in your needs and budget. Now, I added needs and budget in there because I'm so used to saying it, but guys, I didn't make that sentence up. It's literally right here on the bottom of the inventory. So if you guys are not using that while you're reading the script and using this inventory to fill the information, you guys may have trouble getting to that closing question, right? But now what you guys can do easily is read the script, get to the pitch, explain the policy, tie it together by saying you're a direct case. I know why you need it. You want to make sure that Christina and Maurice are taken care of if you die, that they're going to be able to cover their bills, cover their mortgage, cover their final expenses, leave some extra money behind. And then you go into it by saying, all right, write this down, gold, silver, bronze. You give them the prices, and then you say that closing sentence. And in the meantime, while you're doing the script, you're filling it out, guys. Because you look at the script, you guys look at the inventory, the way the questions are asked are in the same way the inventory is written. The only difference is in the field, we didn't have a script. We have this. This is our script. We literally just ask our questions, fill it out, and we knew at certain points on the inventory when to ask those questions. Now, the script makes it easier to crutch, but I want you guys always to have that closing question. What meets your needs and budget best for you and your family? Like we just said, you be quiet. If you were to qualify, because the rates are not guaranteed, which option meets your needs and budget best? But before the pitch, guys, I want all of you to try getting this down. I mean it. The master the soft check technique. It's the easiest thing to do for a client to making sure that A, you're putting into the proper vehicle and that they're not being declined. You have to pivot to 18 different companies. All you guys are going to say is, okay, before I go into prices, I want to do a soft check. All this is going to do is double check your medications and your diagnoses to make sure nothing's going to come back as a red flag. The last thing I want to do, Christina, is explain to you a policy you can't qualify for. At this point, guys, I open America and I do the soft check. I say, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. They're going to be redundant. They make me ask the same thing over and over again. Name, my initial. I keep going on the list, guys, the America app. Then I go to the underwriting. I send it. I call it HIPAA authorization. I validate. I'll then know at level one, level two. If it pivots to level two, no worries. I'll tell the client. I say, hey, it's telling me now my system, Leo, there's a medication populating. No worries. Like I said, I'm a broker. I do all the shopping for the veterans. We're going to go to a secondary company to get you that best rate. And then just go to the next company, guys, and contact your upline at that point, because then we're going to advise you. If it's not America level one, your upline is going to tell you where to go or ask the Zoom. Just unmute and say, hey, guys, I got the client. They got declined America, tier three, tier two. Here are the health, and here are the medications, and here's their income. Income is important too, because they make decent money. Don't be afraid to show a guy who's 70, 40K of coverage. I was guilty of that in the very beginning. I never want to oversell. I would want to undersell. I even asked a lady, Christina recently knows from my first appointments, she's asked me how much it's gonna cost. How much do you want to pay? How much does it cost? How much do you want to pay? I said like 5, 6 times, guys, no joke. At the end, I told her it's gonna range between $30 to $120 a month. You want to sign up for it? And she's like an 82-year-old lady, guys, dead ass, and back in the field. And I'm like, I don't know, between 30 to 120. She said bye. I get her leave, guys. A year later, I call her and I write her at now because now I understood, how to, pitch it. But my point in saying that is that you just want to make sure that you're understanding what you're doing when it comes down to, the pitch and the products, just by using a soft track. Just start with a soft track, see if they're eligible. If they get America level one, you stop and you say, okay, grab that pen and paper. Then you explain the cost, but never explain America level one without knowing, do they pass that soft track, right? Because you're shooting yourself in the foot at that point. That's one tip I want to talk about. Just the soft checks. I don't think many agents utilize it. And the companies, guys, that offer soft checks, Transamerica, AIG, Corebridge, SIWL. Then we have Chubb, we have America, and Mutual. There are 5 companies you guys can go through with no banking information and seeing do they qualify without any banking. You guys should have no problem doing that, getting to that point of saying, hey, this is what you actually qualify for. Now at that point, of course, let's make sure you're on Zoom so we can help you through as a new agent. But the main point is to see what they're actually eligible for. And that when they pick an option, that's it. It's just about what day you want to be drafted. And we always, guys, push for immediate draft. Everyone should get to the payment screen and just say account and routing, use a local credit or major bank. It's a checking or saving account. What's your account and routing? Why do you need that? It's your method of payment. It's going to be electronically funded. It's going to be your method of payment. 2, is to make sure not money laundering. 3, to make sure it's an active account tied to your name. And 4, nobody's paying for insurance under your name. The draft date is immediate. It's day 1 coverage. It'll come on the 4th of every single month. Is that a good recurring draft date for you? Not first draft date, but recurring draft date. Because I have a 93% persistency. I'm not just trying to like bloat that. I'm being serious. So if I can do that, so can you guys. But a lot of you guys ask the question, is it okay? Can I draft you? Stop asking. Just always assume, be extremely assumptive, assume the sale at all times, get the banking in there, put it for immediate draft, tell them first payment 1 to 5 days. Recurring payment is always the same day of the application. I look at my iPad, it's the 4th. I'm gonna say race is the 4th, and I move on. If it's not good for her, she's gonna tell me. She's gonna say the 4th's not a good day. Can you do this, this? And at that point, it's a conversation. Most of the time, they say it's fine. But if we make it a big deal, it becomes a big deal to the client. If we don't make it a big deal, it's not going to be a big deal.
Absolutely. You have to like master minimization in that moment, guys. It's like they already picked an option, they picked the cost. Why would they not be paying for it today, right? Unless you told them otherwise. It's like if I go to the mall or I go to the coffee shop and get a coffee, like I just got the coffee, like I'm drinking it, right? It's like I just picked it out. That was what I ordered. Now I got it. I have to pay for it or I'm going to be stealing, right? So if you think about it in that way versus like, just like Rami said, we can change the reoccurring day should we need to, but we're assuming the 4th works great, right? Because they just picked the option. They didn't say anything about it. All right. You're going to be drafted, assuming approval in 1 to 3 business days. You'll see it reflective on your account and it's going to reoccur on the 4th thereafter. Okay, Leo? All right. Now, in just a moment, you're going to get your last text message with a 6-digit. I'm just going to the next part. Because if it's an issue, they're going to stop you and be like, hey, it has, can we make it the 15th or whatever? Okay, new story, right? But if you feel like you're post dating more than 20% of your business, just try to get some of these word tracks down or try to find a way that you're going to use that piece of going into that part of the application and transitioning a little bit differently than what you're saying right now. Because if you're post dating more than 20% of your business, it probably has a lot to do with what you're saying when you're getting the banking information. So just want to keep everybody aware of that. Now, guys, this call wasn't meant to be redundant. It was more so meant to make sure, hey, we're understanding what we're doing.